Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
You've read the books. You've learned the rules. You've played the games. And so is your mom. Just making sure you're paying attention. Now, it's time for something completely off base. From the same guys who haven't done anything exciting yet are the Paladins of Podcast, Rob and Potato. Listen in as they talk about all things related to pen and paper games, challenge rules, and go off script. This is the high fantasy commentary you didn't ask for, but your mom did. This is the Epic Table Audio Show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Epic Table Games Audio Show with your Paladism podcast, Rob and Potato.
What's up,
doing,
Rob?
Potato? Not too much, man. Not too much. I wanted to make an announcement before we got started and get too carried away. All right?
By all means.
All right. So I just realized that we had some technical difficulties with the podcast episode that was supposed to be released on January 29th. It never got posted.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Well, we got it done. We got it edited. We did the edits, and apparently I saved it as a draft instead of hitting schedule for our normal release day.
That's not a big deal, though, I don't think.
No, but it's the first episode that we have missed, and hopefully it's the last.
Hopefully it's the last.
Yeah, but we're not really a tech podcast, are we, Potato?
No, we're not. We're not professional podcasts either. Not yet, anyway.
What do you mean? We've got 26 episodes in already. 27 by the time that one comes out.
Yeah, it's been how long now? It's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, we've been going at it for at least half a year, so 6 months in. This is actually it's been a real fun journey for us, I think.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that explosion that every other podcast gets. It'd be super humbling as well.
Absolutely. And I think that the two things that we need to do to get to that point are A, tell more people about it, and B, have our listeners tell more people about it. Otherwise, we're just podcasting for like 7 people.
That's right. It's like doing a stand-up comedy routine with your family members at home.
Bro. Yeah. Anyhow, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about some artwork because everybody looks through fantasy books and they seem to love the artwork.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to kind of stand on my usual soapbox, and I hate to do it yet again, but we're not getting through to people. It's ridiculous, but whatever. And you said that you have a character spotlight today or a monster spotlight?
It'd be a monster spotlight.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good one. Can't wait to talk about it.
All right. Well, so we don't waste any more time, let's kind of jump into this artwork idea, because you and I were really cautious about wanting to talk about artwork because as a podcast, all we have are words. And
right.
People can't see what we're talking about.
Yeah, look at this. It looks so good.
Right. So one of the reasons that we really thought about it is because I was showing you the rules for the Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
Yes.
And in that book, there is an image of a grotesquely obese woman giving birth to an alligator creature. And one of them is nursing as babies do. Again, funny alligator creature. And none of the images are censored whatsoever.
Yeah, it's very dark and gruesome and very well detailed, and the image itself is so jarring to see in a book that you're going to be playing a game with.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that when it comes to that particular game.
Because when you handed me the book, you're like, so there's one page that is completely ridiculous and this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll find it. I'm flipping it. I'm like, is this the page?
I remember you said that once, and I looked at it. I said, "Potato, you're going to know when you get to that page." But it really got me thinking, because a lot of tabletop RPG core rule books or rule sets have very distinct art forms.
Yeah, it really helps tell them apart and stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that I really started falling in love with the artwork from Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition. That's kind of when everything moved to that really fine art style with everything really looked like oil paintings, essentially. Highly detailed oil paintings, as though, oh my God, I can't believe I just lost the name of the artist. He's a famous comic book artist.
Jack Kirby.
No. I mean, as fun as that would be, it's funny too, because his name is Alex Ross, and I was going to say Bob Ross because of the fact that they share the last name Ross, but the fact is,
going to be our Happy Bush. It's not going to be a mimic.
But so much of the artwork looked like a lot of Alex Ross's comic book art. It was highly detailed, very well colored. The lighting schemes were fantastic. And I've noticed that fantasy, kind of like Middle Earth fantasy, has very similar art styles. And I love the Pathfinder artwork, etc. And really, we have a great topic to talk about here, because if you think about it, there are books and volumes of books that are dedicated specifically to artwork of certain games, like the art of Warcraft, or the art of Assassin's Creed, the art of
that's true. That's right.
And I know that when we think about that, those are really video games, but still, even Wizards of the Coast have had an Art of Dungeons and Dragons book.
When was this?
I don't remember when. I just remember seeing it in in Barnes and Noble.
So it wasn't like the olden like 3rd edition or anything like that. It's like 5th edition art book.
Actually, it depends on. I think it depends on where you're looking. For instance, Art in Arcana is a visual history of D&D.
Oh,
and that's a little bit older. Actually, I think that. God, it says 2018 when it was released, but I swear that there was one a little earlier than that. But anyhow, excuse me. The artwork that's there is fantastic. So there is enough art appreciation in the communities that it's one of those things where I think that we should definitely pay homage to it. And everybody looks at the pictures first. Be honest.
That's true.
Like, oh man, I want to play this Dragonborn because I like the way he looks. He's a total badass.
Right, exactly. That's the reason why I had my first character when he first started playing be a druid, because I thought the druid looked really cool with the tiger next to him.
Right, for sure. Now, when we talked about the Lamentations of the Flame Princess, we noticed that there were actually what looked like 3 distinct art styles in that book. Many of it was very thick and heavy outline, black and white. I don't want to say simplistic, but the illustrations were not super detailed. They were detailed enough to tell what they were.
It was kind of like a coloring book, but better.
Yes. And then the other style that they had was very similar to fine line artwork with a lot of details, kind of like your adult grown-up coloring books.
Yeah. So I wonder if there was multiple artists that did work for that book.
It's likely. I haven't looked at the credits into the book like I should have for this episode. But I want to say that there are different artists, because just like old school fantasy novels, in the middle of this rule book, there are about 6 to 8 pages of full page, full color illustrations.
Oh, that's super cool.
It is. It's really neat. And again, it harkens to a time where artwork is super important. And I like how they condensed it into a certain area, like a lot of old books did.
Yeah. I feel the way that they did it, having to be in the middle of the book, really helps for you to be engaged and keep reading past all the illustrations, because now you get a better visual for what's to come.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Now, because I got Google pulled up right here, somebody had asked, is Dungeons and Dragons in art? And the answer is going to surprise you. What do you think it is?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. For what it's worth, 17 out of 20 respondents agreed that yes, role-playing games are an art form.
It is. It's a social art form.
Right. Now,
yeah, I mean, you're making stories and whatnot. Of course, that's art.
Absolutely. And it's funny because as we're talking about the illustrations that we see, and you kind of mentioned Jack Kirby, I would really like to see some famous, well, not even just famous, but some of my favorite comic illustrators and color artists really do some illustrations in my other favorite mediums. I mean, honestly, I'd like to see Todd McFarlane illustrate an entire core rule book for something, or
that
Greg
would be
Capullo.
cool.
Absolutely. You know.
Oh yeah.
There is a comic book that it was, I'll say, kind of small. Not a whole lot of people knew about it. It was done by Fireman Press and eventually brought in to Image Comics, 24 issues, and it was created by Rob Schrab. And I really love it. It was Scud the Disposable Assassin.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, and so even though we're not really a comic podcast here, the potential to bring more potential fans into something else I like is cool. But the plot for Scud the Disposable Assassin is Scud is a assassin you can purchase out of a vending machine. And he is a robot that will self-terminate after killing the target.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he ends up seeing his self-destruct warning on his back in a mirror or something while he's fighting his target. And instead of killing his target, he wounds him bad enough to put him on life support at a nearby hospital. So he doesn't actually self-destruct. And
that's smart.
And the rest of the series is pretty much him picking up missions to pay for those medical bills.
That's a really neat idea. I like that.
It is. And I love the art style. It's fun. It's kind of loose. And it definitely has a 90s feel to it. But I mean, then again, it was published from 94 to 98, you know?
Oh, okay.
Very similar to if you had like Rob Lightfield do anything. They're going to have huge chests and excessive amounts of utility belt packs and small feet.
When you said that name, I instantly thought of the Captain America.
Right? Everybody thinks of how bad Captain America was, and nobody credits the fact that they all love Deadpool.
Hey, can I tell you a story about Jack Kirby?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was my third year going to Comic-Con. It was actually my last year as well because everything got busy after that, sadly. It was me and my wife, and I brought my brother with me. We're walking through the vendor aisles, and we're seeing, celebrities and this and that, and the talking booths and stuff. And in the middle of one of these aisles was a stand with all these, artist renderings and comic book paperwork and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this old guy is sitting there, and he goes, "Oh, hi, you know who I am, right? I'm Jack Kirby. I made all the artwork for Stan Lee." And I go, yeah, sure, cool. Just being super awkward, and I didn't believe him. He's like, no, it's me. I'm Jack Kirby. I'm like, yeah, you made all the superheroes, huh? Oh, not Stan Lee. He goes, yeah, I made them. I drew them. Want to buy some of my paperwork? I'm like, nah, how much? He goes, oh, $50 for this page, $100 for that page. I go, nice seeing you. Goodbye. Then I walked away, and I'm like, Jack Kirby. At the time, I didn't know who that. I never heard that name before.
Are you
Jack
serious?
Kirby, yeah, Jack Kirby. I looked up on my phone. I'm like, oh my god, I felt dead. I'm like, I am such a moron. I should have not only talked his ear off, but I should have hugged him before I left. I beat myself up about that almost every other day.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
funny.
I felt so ashamed when I found out the fallacy, the foolish antic that I made.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Ha ha ha! Sure you are. Goodbye.
Yeah, I think what's funnier in that story is your initial reaction of "haha, sure, yeah, you are," was really, I mean, A, you had no idea when you said it.
Yeah,
and you really didn't have a clue of who he was anyway.
exactly. I was in a weird social position where I just did not know what to do, and I wanted to be as polite as I could and leave.
That's funny.
I
That's
definitely didn't want to get scammed if he wasn't who he said he was. You know what I mean? I felt so bad about myself.
You had a smartphone back then. You could have at least looked him up.
Oh, sure, but to look him up in front of him felt a little rude.
Well, I mean, I think he probably would have just assumed that you weren't familiar with a lot of comic books.
Honestly, if I could replay that time, I would have done it completely differently. I'll tell you that right now. Heck,
Sure.
at that Comic-Con, I also saw Kevin Sorbo. I yelled out from across the way, I'm like, call the Conqueror! And he's waving to me when it tells me to come over there. I'm like, nah, no thank you, have a good day. I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. It made me all jittery, you know what I mean?
Why did you not want to talk to Kevin Sorbo?
Because I don't know, for me in my situation, that was the first actual celebrity being that close to me that I knew of, other than Jack Kirby, which I wish I knew. And I instantly had that jittery feeling. I'm like, I am going to act like an idiot if I went to go talk to him. So I'm just going to wave and walk away.
Sure. Now I gotta do this, and I'm sorry.
You're gonna tear me up about this, aren't you?
No. When did you go to Comic-Con?
That particular year, let's see, that was 2016, maybe. I want to say 2016, maybe 2017. Really hard to say. I want to say 2016 though.
Okay.
I could be
Jack
wrong.
Kirby, the co-creator of legendary hits like the Fantastic Four, Hulk, Thor, and the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
His official biography says that he has passed away in 1994.
So I was right.
So, yeah.
Oh my god. Thank you for that revelation.
It's not a problem. So honestly, very may well have either dodged a bullet or you were talking up with somebody's ghost, you know.
I think I dodged a bullet then, honestly. I mean, the guy looked like him when I looked up Jack Kirby. The guy definitely looked like him. So I didn't look into his biography, though.
Sure. That was just a quick search. Honestly, as much as I grew up on comic books and everything, Stan Lee's name is always what popped up first. In fact, while Jack Kirby's name was popular, I actually knew more about Ari Arad. I think Avi. Avi. It's Avi. Avi Arad. Who was also with Marvel Comics for a long time, and he part of the Toy Biz, as it says. He did a lot of work on the old school cartoons and everything, so his name popped up in executive producer positions. In fact, you still see him a lot on Marvel movies.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. So, I actually knew more about Avi and Stan Lee than I did Jack Kirby, which is funny. But I mean, kind of like when you get into something, you kind of follow it to its completion, essentially.
Yeah.
That's why I really, when I found Spawn, for example, and Image Comics, it was Todd McFarlane, and I followed that all the way through until it was so massive I couldn't keep up with all the different lines anymore.
Right. Yeah, that leads me up to the thing with Todd McFarlane as well. When I found out who he was and that he was behind Spawn, I followed him as well, but I followed more about what he did with the toy lines, with his figures and everything. He does an amazing job.
Yeah,
he made figures for Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat, and this and that. It's so cool.
Well, when his toy line started, I mean, there was nothing that was really that well detailed and highly polished, realistic looking. It was above and beyond what everything else was at the time.
Exactly.
And then on top of it, it was also rather affordable for what it is.
Oh yeah. I remember my first figure from Todd McFarlane we got at the mall when I was like, I don't know, maybe in 5th grade, I want to say, maybe 6th grade. And it was this cool big purple dude from Final Fantasy. It had his name on there. I thought it was a Spawn character because of the logo at first. But it was so cool. One of my most favorite toys I ever had. Never had a toy like that again until I got a job.
That's funny. That's really funny. All right. So I want to jump up on my soapbox yet again.
Oh, segue.
Dude, it's not even a segue. This is like a hard transition because I just read a small note from somebody talking about the players in their game, and it was linked to another note that sounded like it was about the DM from the player's perspective, and it was, I shit you not, a total mess. So the gist of this, and I think after this point, I have got to stop reading RPG horror stories on Reddit because it's irritating me.
It's good. It's good to read, but yet again, I agree with you. It's like, who are these people?
Oh my god! Who are these people? Oh my god! So one of them, and I can usually not comment, right? I can keep my mouth shut on the internet, which has to be a good thing. When you're on any sort of public, and when you're on any sort of public forum, you have to be able to really kind of stay out of the limelight, especially when you do something like you and I do with our podcast. We don't want to make waves and piss anybody off, but we still have to be true to ourselves.
Exactly.
And anyhow, I was reading, and this player was looking for advice on how to get more out of his DM.
Get more out of his DM in what way?
He wanted more well-developed maps. He wanted NPC character backstories. He wanted family trees. He wanted just more effort from his DM. Go ahead.
Continue. Go ahead.
Wanted more effort from his DM, who was already really busy in his life, already making maps, already establishing interesting NPCs. It just happened to be that there were a few instances this particular player asked for more information, and there just wasn't any available.
If this player really wanted all this work and effort and content for a game that he's playing in, go talk to Matt Mercer then.
Well, he should pull the sounding rod out of his dick hole at this point, because the absolute fact is that if you're playing a game like Dungeons and Dragons, and when I say playing a game like, I do not mean a fantasy-based game. I do not mean just even a tabletop RPG game. I mean when you are playing a collaborative storytelling game where somebody puts the time and effort into creating the story, you do not bitch about it not being enough.
Exactly. It's so arrogant.
It is. And then to think about what kind of shit this player himself is thinking about. Like, man, I'm going to go into this random magic shop, right? That'd be like, you've seen The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
So
my boy Cage.
He had the shop, the Arcana Cabana.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say it's a random shop in D&D, okay? I'm just going to use the name because I like it. Let's say you go into the Arcana Cabana and there is no shopkeep around, but you hear a slight rattling from a expensive-looking porcelain vase. And your player says, well, what kind of shop owner would own this place? Obviously, A, some sort of magic caster. Well, I'd like to go back out to the street and find his family and see if he needs anything. Like, I didn't have that shit prepared. Okay?
Yeah.
You're at the stupid shop that I just named, and I put a plot hook I found interesting. Like, it's not that I haven't developed this, it's that this plot hook made sense.
Yeah. The whiplash decisions that players make, you cannot then expect that I've developed all of that for you.
Right. Like, oh man, what's
we're beeping and bopping over here, all right? Bobbing and weaving.
Yeah. Like, oh hey, what's Balthazar's what's his family tree look like? You know what? I don't know. Well, I think you should put some more effort into this character if you've named him. You asked what his name was, a-hole. Okay? I just pulled the name up. Seriously.
Right.
And I know that there are some DMs who will go above and beyond. And I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't. I'm saying that a player should not expect more out of the DM. And by the end of the post, he's already talked to the DM about this like it's a real issue.
Wow, unbelievable, man.
Yeah, so I ended up commenting. Because honestly, I just thought he was fucking with me. So that's what I said. I said, are you fucking with us? Because it feels like you're fucking with us. I mean,
that's not a real issue. The issue is you, the player, but you got to be joking, right?
Right.
Is this what's called a shit post?
Right. And then, like I said, the flip side was I've been reading stories about DMs who are like, I want more out of my players. Like, are you serious? How do they get them more involved in my story? But you just don't. Stop pushing it. There are play styles for a reason.
Exactly.
And yeah, I know it's a direct contrast to saying one thing for the DM and flipping it to say the opposite for a player. But I mean, you're taking the time to collaboratively tell a story. And if your character is not in any way or means an investigative style character, shut your trap about the goddamn family tree. Why did this dude even mention a family tree? Oh my God. But thank God and thank God other people of Reddit came to the defense of the DM, because they just created an entire village of orphans. I mean, and you're right, Potato. When you have something where you're creating things on the fly, you can't always have all that. But you can have an entire book of on the fly NPCs, which is fine, but I mean, they're NPCs.
Exactly. And one of the most common tabletop RPG, I guess you would call it memes at this point, that I've always hear is, oh, we met this new NPC. Well, what's his name? And then the DM panics.
Yeah, that's because you don't expect him to ask the name. In fact, this leads me into the next bit of my soapbox, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. This DM, who was like, I've been DMing for X amount of years. Years, Potato. There was not 1 year. It was plural. Years. There was more than one. It wasn't months. It wasn't hours. It wasn't minutes. It wasn't sessions. It was years. And you know what he'd like his players to stop doing?
What?
Wanting to kill every NPC they come across.
Oh no, the murder hobo syndrome that everybody has because people love rolling dice.
Yeah,
Oh, how do you combat such a plague?
Right. I'm sorry. What you wanna change this fundamental issue of the game? Like, this is what players do. How do you not expect this shit? In fact,
Exactly.
it's the heart of the soapbox that I haven't mentioned yet is that people seem to have expectations of what this game is supposed to be. And then they're all like, well, I laid out my expectations in session 0. I don't know why they're doing this. Because they need to do something, okay?
It's called having fun. Roll with it.
They want to have fun. They want to dick with you. And they just want to have a good time. All right? I'm tired of people who do not understand the idea that you are playing a collaborative story does not mean it's cooperating the entire time to 100%.
Exactly. You see, think about it like this. You got this big story, and you can have all written out in a book. And then you want to make a movie out of this book. Guess what? The book gets chopped basically in half to fit the movie. And then you want to make a game out of this movie. Guess what? Everything is now tweaked and expanded with different options, a bit more versatility. You don't know what's going to happen now. And then you take all that and you put it into a collaborative story building game like, Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot. Guess what?
I think
everything is up in the air because now the players can change how the story rolls. It's not structured like a video game or a movie or a book. It's wide open.
Right.
They can do whatever they want. Roll with it.
Right. And that's just it. If you're going to complain about your players or your DM in a sandbox campaign, obviously a sandbox game isn't for you.
Exactly. That's the term sandbox as well, meaning you are free and open to explore and do as you please. It's not a FPS game. It's not a third-person strategy game. It's not Battleship.
Oh, Potato. I just had an idea. I want to pitch it to you. Ready?
All right, shoot.
All right. New campaign. Okay?
Okay.
It's a linear progression game. Okay? You will only move in the direction I tell you to. And you will only choose from the 3 choices I give you. And your character cannot have any sort of high charisma, so they cannot persuade other players or NPCs, and you cannot have too high of strength so you don't overpower combat. Yin?
And the game would be called Rails with the slogan, "You cannot get off of them."
Yeah, Yin.
Let's do it. Why not? Can I have a gun so I can shoot myself afterwards?
Oh my God! Please shoot me first.
Shoot you first.
I mean, come on! The game is supposed to be fun. I don't understand why people bitch so much. Like we've talked about the soapbox when the DM is like, I overpowered my my party and I don't know how to correct this. Like,
you don't correct it.
Right? You just add 8 to everything.
Exactly.
You balance it out by upping the difficulty and playing it from there. But in that scenario, you are literally trying to correct a small issue you made. It's an issue, small non-issue, however you want to say it, depending on your level of comfortability in dungeon mastering. But to say that your players aren't doing what you wanted because you laid out the expectations, that's
Yeah.
of course they're not.
No.
All right.
No.
That's seriously, it's anybody over the age of 18 who's been to a job interview in the last, I don't know, forever, knows that they're going to go to a job interview like, yeah, I'm a real hard worker. And they're going to slack off for the first 6 months.
Right. Or vice versa. The people given the interview will say, oh, this is our expectations for our job. Then they get hired in and be like, oh, yeah, you can do whatever. We don't care.
Man, that sounds eerily familiar.
Ding, ding.
So it kind of follows. There was another horror story that I read where they were talking about the Fallout game. They just recently picked up the Fallout tabletop RPG.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I want to play it so bad.
Well, they were saying that their first session was so successful, their players stopped wanting to play by session 3 because it wasn't the game that they really got into.
Huh?
And, well, so you know how in the Fallout series you start off in the vault.
Yeah.
In this person's game, they decided that you were going to start off in the vault, and they were playing a very inclusive, open LGBTQ plus community style game in the vault, where breeders, essentially heterosexual male-female couples who could have children, were essentially banned, and homosexual love was absolutely rampant and open and non-judgmental. And they played this style because a few of the members were a part of that LGBTQ plus community, and they all really loved that first session. You know, they were swinging it, they were having a good time, throwing parties, and they knew that eventually they were going to have to go out into the wasteland.
Right. Can I stop you just for a quick second? Just real quick.
Yeah.
So, what did the post actually say the term rampant with the homosexuality?
I don't think so. I think I used that term. Was it?
Oh,
bad?
okay. Well, just because the term rampant to me makes it sound like, oh, they're ravaging the whole land with all their homosexuality, like they're bad guys running rampant in the streets, just banging each other.
Oh no, I know. I didn't mean it like that, but it was.
They're out in the cafeteria. They're everywhere. They won't stop.
That's kind of how the author of the post made it seem. Was like, it's everywhere. It's acceptable and it's a-okay.
Okay, I just want to know if it was like still behind closed doors in the bedroom or like out in the open. Who cares?
Yeah, it was really like nobody cares. It's free to do. It's acceptable, and let's do it.
Oh, wow.
And so the players really fell in love with that first session, and somebody kind of nailed it on their head where they said that the players probably felt like it was where they could be the most like themselves in a game ever possibly. And I get that. So when the time came for them to go out into the wasteland collectively, in which the party had said, okay, we understand that's what we will need to do, they said, no, I don't want to go on that mission.
The DM could easily make the whole story being within the vault. They don't have to go out in the wasteland.
You're right. But the DM was mad because they laid out the expectations of going out into the wasteland. And the party said no. And then when the DM talked them into it, they felt like they were being forced to do it and that they were being punished.
Oh my God. I feel bad for the players in a way, but I definitely think there could have been a totally different way they could have done this. They could have had a happy medium at least. Come on.
Honestly, I mean, let's take out all of any kind of connotation here. If I was gonna say something like, yo, Pornhub is going to make a tabletop RPG and it's it's all about sex and orgies, and you were having a good time playing this. And I'm like, all right, now we need to play the second half of the game, and it's where you have to go on the political rampage, and try to make porn accessible for everybody. And you're like, nope, I don't want to. I just want the orgies. I mean,
make them accessible to everybody. It sounds like you're going to be selling vacuums door by door.
I mean, come on, why not at this point? But you laid out the expectations. I can understand the DM being a little irritated that they were like, yeah, we'll totally do this, and then when the time came to do that, they're like, no, we don't want to. But at the same time, I mean, why would you want to role play with dice sexual encounters in general?
It's kind of like that Monster Hearts game I was telling you about the other episode. You need the right minded people in order to have fun in those kind of situations. But if the players openly tell you, hey, after a couple sessions, we really enjoyed what we're doing here. We don't want to go and do what you want to do. Sorry. The DM could be like, okay, then you can stay in the vault, or you could even come back into the vault with no issue, like a secret base. And then, oh no, what's the secret door you found? It leads to additional expansion of the vault underneath everything. And you can keep doing stuff like that, like exploring the vault more, finding more stuff in the vault. That way the people playing the game can feel like they're progressing in a story. They're not confined in a cube, Because that's the whole point of the Wasteland. Everything is all open to you. The vault is closed off. So if they want to stay in the closed off spot, that's them. You can totally roll with that. Just the fact of trying to progress the story and make it feel like you're actually progressing, you're going to have to expand and keep everything fresh in a vault.
Right. And you're right. I mean, there are definitely things that they could have done. There are ways that they could have gone about it. But it's just the fact that these people are getting ridiculously butthurt over things not going according to plan. I mean,
right.
If we had a penny for every DM whose plans went off the rails, we'd be billionaires.
Oh yeah. Watch out, Jeff Bezos.
Right. That's right. He took his dick ship to outer space. We're gonna take our dragon ship.
Dude, all right. Quick tangent. Did you hear the latest thing that Jeff Bezos is trying to do right now?
Last I knew, he was stepping down as CEO from Amazon.
Well, I can't remember where now. I don't want to look it up, but there's this old bridge in this, like, I don't know, maybe in Europe. I can't remember exactly. Like I said, I don't remember. But this old bridge, it was like a historical landmark. They had to take it down to do some construction at this one point, and the mayor said, okay, we're going to put it back up. We won't touch it. I promise to you guys, we won't touch this bridge ever again. All the people were happy. Then on the other side of the bridge in the bay, Jeff Bezos is like, oh yeah, I got a 130-foot tall yacht I want to go through. So we're going to have to take down the bridge again. And everyone's in kind of an uproar about it. And the mayor's like, it'll take a few weeks, but we can take it down so Jeff Bezos can leave with his super huge Godzilla-sized boat. It's fine.
But when did he get his big boat on the other side of the bridge? Or was it just always there? And now he wanted to go? He wanted to leave.
Right. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he commissioned someone to build the boat there for some reason.
God, what a jerk.
The fact that he just has the money to be like, oh yeah, I'll pay the city to make sure they're happy with this bridge coming down and coming back up, a historical landmark. It's fine. I got the money.
If I was the mayor of said town, I'd be like, all right, it's going to cost you $300 million to move the bridge, and all 500,000 residents, they need $1 million too.
The thing is, that wouldn't even be that big of a debt to him. He'd be like, "Oh, that's fine."
I know. He would
straight up. If I remember correctly, one guy did a math. If you take half of the gross money that Elon Musk has, take half of it, it'll make everyone at least $1 million richer, and he wouldn't even be hurt by it. The fact that none of these guys are supporting and doing anything like that, I understand that their logic and what they want to do, but just thinking they could be like, hey, we're going to help out everybody. Everybody's going to have a big influx of money. Why not? It's not going to hurt me. I'll make more than that in the next couple of months anyway. You know what I mean? It's wild.
I get it. And I also understand that, not everybody's all into giving everybody free money. That makes sense too.
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
when people have a gross amount of money like that and they choose to do nothing beneficial with it, and I don't mean like benefiting me. I mean, there are plenty of issues that could be solved. And if I remember correctly, none of those issues actually required a penis-shaped rocket ship to outer space. So, yeah, Jeff Bezos will probably never hear this episode, but congratulations on that a-hole.
Exactly.
Along with what's his name from Virgin Mobile, who's like, I'm going to be the first guy to outer space. You know what, jerk? You're a private citizen. You do not need to go to outer space. God, we get hit by a vacuum and die. Anyhow, let's talk about that monster.
Oh, yes. All right. So it is called an Ugoroth.
Ugoroth.
Yeah, Ugoroth, otherwise known as a faceless Hulk.
Okay.
It is a CR9 aberration in Pathfinder, at least.
Okay.
This hairless, leathery giant has no discernible features aside from unsettling whorls across its skin and grotesque slurping tongues where its face should be.
Bro. Slurping tongues. Like Venom, right?
Yeah, but like multiple tongues, and like that's his face.
Gross.
Pretty gross. So of course he's large size. He's basically a nasty giant.
Yep.
He has a massive gray axe. Again, just like a giant and whatnot. In fact, he's able to change his shape to make himself look like any large humanoid form that he wants. It's a bit painful, but he can always recover from it. And what he likes to do, what these creatures like to do, is that they like to transform into giants and sow discord between the giants and the small human folk of the surface world. And would actually take decades in a disguise as like a storm giant or a cloud giant just to make sure everyone is in chaos within the ranks.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. So really they really just want destruction and chaos.
Yeah. They want everyone to be basically mad at each other. Turn into a band of giants to take on a tribe of dwarfs or something like that, or turn into taiga giants to attack the rock giants. Yeah, taiga giants. That's an actual giant. not tiger, but taiga, like Snowy Mountain.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard them referred to as taiga giant.
Yeah, they're kind of cool creatures. The Ugoroth can also do a special ability known as explosive expansion. Explosive expansion. In its natural form, a faceless Hulk can expand rapidly as a full round action. It grows one size category larger, pushing back any creatures or objects in its new space. The faceless Hulk can choose which direction or directions it expands from its original space, and it can attempt a free bull rush combat maneuver, which it's proficient in, against any creatures in these squares as it grows one size larger to huge. And of course, with the size category being huge, everything but the stats and combat maneuvers and whatnot adjusts accordingly. And it doesn't say Oh, it doesn't say if he can do this X amount of times a day. I think he can just do it.
It looks like it. Yeah, special attack. It looks like he could just kind of do it whenever.
So that's kind of cool. Just imagine this fleshy, slurpy tongued monster just all of a sudden stretching, getting bigger like the Hulk.
Yeah. Okay. So technically, it could do it every round.
Well, every round.
Yeah. At the end of its turn, it immediately returns to its original size.
Ah, yep. The last sentence, basically. Always got to read that.
Yeah, that's like reading a book and not finishing the last sentence.
I never do. It keeps me satisfied.
Every book is a cliffhanger.
Exactly.
So what made this creature so interesting for today? What were you really looked at?
Well, I was really thinking of a grotesque monster to kind of be contrasting to the other monsters that we've done. And I originally was looking up, I originally was looking up Oboleth or Aboleths. I don't know how to pronounce that one. But these Aboleths is actually what created the Faceless Hulks. I kind of went down a rabbit hole of what all these guys do, and they're actually in a big war against giants and the human folk, and that's why they made these Faceless Hulks, and also another creature type known as Faceless Stalkers, to basically sow discord and make everyone hate each other, so the two battling foes will attack each other and not the Aboleths. Kind of pick up the scraps afterwards, you know?
Yeah.
And this creature itself just seemed pretty neat.
Oh, for sure. It does. And it's an aberration. And a lot of people, from what I understand, don't really know exactly what an aberration is. They just know it's a monster type.
Yeah, it's like a corrupted alien-like being.
Yeah, one of the big things that it's really the draw is it has an alien mindset and a bizarre anatomy.
Yeah, a lot of the creatures are like Cthulhu monsters.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to say it for sure. I like to tell everybody when we're talking about any sort of aberrations is essentially it's just an alien.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people confuse outsiders as being aliens, and that's not true. It's like the other side of the spectrum.
Right, for sure. I will definitely agree with that.
But yeah, with the Faceless Hulk, I really liked how it had a sense of intelligence to them. It can shape change. I really thought it'd be a good encounter if it was done correctly. Like you're fighting a couple of giants, right? And then one of the giants turns into this thing because it was kind of spying on them or what have you. You know what I mean? It'd be pretty wild.
Yeah. You know, I think what we should do in one of our future podcasts is sort of set up our own kind of like an Epic Table Games audio show module. So that way we can kind of develop a few different things.
Kind of like publish some small content.
Yeah, we won't necessarily put it down on paper right away, but we'll talk about that development, kind of how to get things going, because I think that with the monsters you're coming up with and all of my complaints over bad DMs and dumb players, it would really be simple to develop an open module for our listeners who can just throw it on the table and roll with it and not have to worry about anything ridiculous along the way.
Oh, exactly. I definitely agree. When you first brought this up, I thought you were going to say that we're going to like run small encounters on the podcast, like, I don't know, encounter theater. I was thinking, I don't know if that's going to fly, man, but this makes more sense.
Yeah. And do you ever seen that video from a few years ago of the guys who are playing LARP and they're like, fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's embarrassing still. Anyhow, let's wrap it up tonight. Guys, thanks for sticking with us today. I'm sorry I was on a soapbox so much. Look, if you're gonna play a collaborative storytelling game, don't get irritated with your players. Learn how to roll with the punches and respect the amount of time that your dungeon master can put into the game. It's meant for everybody to have fun and enjoy themselves. sometimes that means rolling with the punches, throwing rules out the window, and just rolling with it. Right, Potato?
Exactly. If you got shortcomings, ignore them. If you want to do more, all means do it. But don't expect other people to do more because you want more.
Right, absolutely. So anyhow, check us out online at epictablegames.com, and you can also find us at Facebook at facebook.com/epictablegames.
And you, yes, you there, the little child listening to this episode for some reason, I want to tell you to stay epic.
Epic table game. Double teams, stress, nights, roll, nights, fantastic, night, fairy tale, stress, nights, roll, nights, fantastic, night. Make way for the paladins. Make way for the paladins. Epic table game. Make way for the paladins. Make way for the paladins. Epic table game. Thank you for listening to the Epic Table audio show with the paladins of the podcast, Rob and Potato. Until next time, stay in touch on Facebook at Epic Table Games and online at epictablegames.com. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Yeah.